Welcome, my friends, to the world of HeroQuest, a place unlike any other. Today, we need to talk about something that's been rattling the dice for a lot of us tabletop gamers, the current state of Hasbro. Now, Hasbro owns a vast empire of toys, games, and entertainment properties, but recent financial reports and strategic shifts have some of us wondering about the fate of our beloved brands like Avalon Hill, and specifically, the iconic dungeon crawler we all love, HeroQuest. Is HeroQuest getting pinched under the stress of Hasbro's financial tightrope? Let's dive in. This is the Fair Weatherman. Welcome back to the channel. Let's not sugarcoat it. Hasbro has been facing some headwinds over the last few years. While their Q1 25 earnings show a revenue increase, the broader picture of 2024 saw an overall decline in revenue by 17%. They've been shedding unprofitable business lines like the Entertainment One divestiture, finalizing the sale in December of 2023. This was part of Hasbro's strategic shift to focus on its core toy and game brands and to reduce debt, but even with that, the decline persists. Their consumer products segment, that's the traditional toy division, saw a 12% revenue decrease in 2024. And guess what? They just announced layoffs of 3% of their global workforce, around 150 positions, citing increased costs and tariff pressures. They're also considering moving their headquarters from Rhode Island, where it's resided for over 60 years, to Boston. This decision has been delayed due to financial instability with the ongoing tariffs and economic conditions in the United States. But an announcement is expected any day now. The potential move to Massachusetts could be driven by the state's attractive tax incentives for businesses. Now that's a lot of information to try to make sense of. I typically stay away from hot takes on the channel, and I could be a buck short and a day late to the conversation with this. So all cards on the table. Today I want to present my findings about the current state of Hasbro, document how we got here, and discuss possible outcomes if things don't turn around. When I was researching this topic, I tried my best to look at the bigger picture, Hasbro as a corporation, and I tried my best to separate the individual entities within the company. In no way do I claim to understand the complete picture of what's going on. This is just me as a fan, looking at the facts. So let's get into this. Now, for those of us who love board games, Hasbro's Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment is generally considered the bright spot. Magic the Gathering continues to be a powerhouse, and this segment actually saw growth. But here's the crucial question. Where does Avalon Hill and HeroQuest fit into this increasingly lean and focused Hasbro? Avalon Hill, a legendary name in strategic board gaming, is a subsidiary under Hasbro's gaming division. And since its triumphant return through HasLab, HeroQuest 2021 has been a shining star for Avalon Hill, bringing in new fans and rekindling nostalgia for old ones. Hasbro Pulse, their direct-to-consumer platform, even features a dedicated section for Avalon Hill, showcasing HeroQuest and its ever-increasing expansions. They're clearly selling, and with some items like the Monk and Rogue Hero Packs coming in and out of stock frequently. And this year alone, we saw the reimagined smaller HeroQuest startup box, First Light, hit Target shelves in January, as well as pre-orders for the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness selling out on Amazon and Hasbro Pulse. But ever so slowly, we're starting to see its release date creeping backwards toward the start of fall. Mine went initially from a July release date to a September release date, and just today back to an August release date. Of course, this could be due to a number of reasons. A greater demand in pre-orders than expected, production and distribution issues within the supply chain. I'm looking at you, China, as tariffs could cost the company up to $300 million in 2025 alone. Or could there be something brewing below the surface? If I'm honest, I'll admit, I'm starting to get antsy about waiting on a Wizards of Morcar announcement. Avalon Hill has yet to drop any official hints, but it's worth noting that it's highly rumored and expected to be released soon. With Gen Con 2025 just around the corner, I hope Avalon Hill's tables are showcasing more than an introduction to Crypt of Perpetual Darkness and First Light playthroughs. Here's the most anxiety-inducing part. Hasbro's new strategic plan, unveiled in early 2025 and dubbed Play to Win, focuses on 5 key building blocks. 2 of those are profitable franchises and aging up, meaning increasing appeal for fans aged 13 and above. On the surface, HeroQuest seems to fit these criteria perfectly. It's a proven, highly profitable franchise with a dedicated fan base, and its recent revival has certainly aged up its appeal, bringing in adult hobbyists. However, when a company is in cost-cutting mode and prioritizing its biggest earners, small, albeit successful, lines can sometimes get squeezed. We saw Hasbro make deep cuts in 2023 with 1,900 layoffs, some of which affected Avalon Hill. While the current cuts are smaller, they indicate an ongoing focus on efficiency. While Wizards of the Coast, with its booming Magic the Gathering Dungeons & Dragons franchises, seems relatively safe and even a priority for growth, the general Hasbro gaming umbrella might face scrutiny. And could outside forces bring about more financial trouble for Hasbro? Diamond Comic Distributors, DCD, was the dominant distributor of comic books, graphic novels, and related merchandise to comic shops and retailers worldwide for decades, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January. With a plan to restructure its operations after major publishers like Marvel and DC Comics, who previously had exclusive distribution deals with Diamond, shifted their distribution to other companies. Add in a general decline in consumer spending on comics and related merchandise, combined with rising operation costs and inflation, impacted Diamond's profitability. So how does this relate to Avalon Hill and HeroQuest? Diamond owes a considerable amount of money to various publishers and vendors, including Hasbro, one of Diamond's top creditors, being owed over $1 million. In short, Diamond's bankruptcy may have repercussions for both Hasbro and its subsidiary, Avalon Hill. So what does this mean for HeroQuest? The worst case scenario, the doomsday many fear, is that if Hasbro continues to struggle with its overall consumer products division and looks for more areas to streamline, even successful niche brands like HeroQuest could be deemed too small to warrant significant investment or even be divested. Imagine a world where HeroQuest expansion slow to a trickle, or even worse, the line is put on indefinite hiatus. Now that's a dire prediction, and it's by no means a certainty. HeroQuest has a passionate community, and its HasLab success demonstrated incredible demand. However, in the corporate world, numbers often speak louder than fan passion. If HeroQuest isn't contributing significantly enough to the overall bottom line, or if resources are diverted to even more profitable ventures within Wizards of the Coast, its future could be precarious. I guess I naturally fall towards the doomsday scenario, only if to shield myself from the blow when and if HeroQuest comes to yet another end. Given Hasbro's 17% revenue growth in Q1, fueled by Wizards of the Coast, it seems the company as a whole is shifting its focus away from traditional toys and more towards digital gaming and licensing, which raises the question of whether we might see a crossover IP into HeroQuest. While personally I don't want to see such a change, I'm wondering if Hasbro might try it, especially if a similar approach proven successful for Talisman, with their Kingdom Hearts, Harry Potter, and Batman releases. I'm not sure how successful these releases were, but I can see how an enthusiastic Harry Potter fan could stop to look at what Talisman has to offer them. I'm a purist and would hate to lose the overall timeless aesthetic of HeroQuest to something like Kingdom Hearts. And who's to say Hasbro doesn't export the IP of HeroQuest? Maybe we'll come across some really neat action figures, or a really sweet cartoon in the vein of He-Man. I would totally dig that. Now, I'm not saying this is the end of HeroQuest, but if it was ever to be discontinued, I think it would likely be due to the overall performance of Hasbro's toy division, rather than any shortcomings of the game line itself. And we all know the fans will keep it alive for decades to come with their array of homebrew material. I mean, there's some really cool stuff out there, some of which is bordering on IP infringement themselves. Moving forward, could we see more expansions created by guest writers, like Joe Manganiello's Crypt of Perpetual Darkness? I believe it could be a way to diversify more of the fanbase footprint, and sales of the latest release could be a deciding factor. There's also a ton of original content still out there. I can totally get behind a White Dwarf expansion encapsulating all of the quests that we saw over the years of the original release. And I'm still 100% behind the idea of getting some Ratmen. Let's do this. I strongly agree that HeroQuest will survive many decades to come by those who cherish it. And if expansions alone slow up a bit, we'll most likely see reprint runs for years to come. On July 23rd, Hasbro will disclose their second quarter earnings report, so we'll get a better idea if the company is turning the corner. Signs are pointing to a steadying of the ship, with some analysis reporting their current financial situation as stable, which I hope to be the case, as I really want Hasbro, Avalon Hill, and HeroQuest to continue to see success. So what do you think? Are my fears overblown, or is there a genuine risk for Avalon Hill and HeroQuest given Hasbro's current financial climate? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Have you noticed any changes in Hasbro's strategies that give you hope or concern? And don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tabletop content, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next video. As always, united the heroes stand, divided they fall. Come, let the quest begin.